Tracy, tell us about this exciting program for seniors.
Well, exciting is the word. LA Opera's had a tradition for more than 20 years now of picking a dress rehearsal and inviting senior community centers from all over the city and actually all over the county to come and be our guests and to celebrate with us and to enjoy an afternoon at the opera.
How do directors of multipurpose centres, how do they get in contact with you if they want to become part of this program in the coming years?
Surely. Really easy. You contact anybody at LA Opera and they're going to make sure that you get to us. Plus which, we actually do have an extensive list. We are always cleaning it up, we're always updating it, and we do blast out the information to the city, to the county, to actually all of the different cities.
Now, James Conlon, I understand, is conducting the performance today.
Yes.
He's had rave reviews from La Scala for this particular production. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Oh, well, Maestro Conlon is one of the forces of nature, and he's an extraordinary musician who understands deeply the drama of the music, and he understands, and he's excited always actually to come back and revisit, even though he's just had a tremendous success. You might think, well, then he's tired of it and he wants to move on to something else. He is completely fascinated. He talks about how he breathes, sleeps, eats music. And the first thing he would want to do would be to come back to this amazing opera, this classic opera, and revisit it again and explore it even more deeply. And I must say it's a joy to work with both him and Maestro Domingo. We could not ask for two greater champions for arts education, and for sharing a love and knowledge of the Opera House.
We're truly blessed to here in Los Angeles to have such talent at our disposal. Now, how do they actually become involved with the community outreach that you do? Because you don't just do programs for seniors, you do them for children too. How are the musical directors involved in what you do for community outreach?
It starts right up at the top. I will tell a story that I've told a few times before, which is my job interview was with Mr. Domingo, and we were talking, and he was talking about some of the ideas that he had, and he said, and he stopped because, it's how can we expect people to love our religion if we don't invite them into our church? And right there alone, that sense of mission, that sense of passion about what we do, that starts with Mr. Domingo, it starts with Mr. Conlon, and it flows down from there. It really excites and it energizes everybody. So they are always challenging us and inspiring us to reach further and to go deeper.
We're so excited to be here today and learn about this senior performance that Los Angeles Opera puts on each year. How long have you been coming along?
This is number one.
That's great then. So we've caught you first off. How did you hear about it?
Well, we belong to the Gay and Lesbian Center here in Los Angeles, and they sent out a flyer. And we said yes.
Yes, and grabbed the chance to come along. I know for a lot of people, and me included, the opera can be an expensive event to come to. Like any performance, live performance, they're very expensive. So I think this gives us a chance, Gerald, doesn't it, to come along and enjoy these things free of charge.
Definitely. It's a wonderful thing to have belonging to these organizations so that we can get in and they let us see the performances.
So now, how did you prepare for coming on to the opera today? Are you opera aficionados? Do you know a lot about the opera in any case, or is this something new experience for you?
I've seen it once before. I love the music. I love the Umbeldi, and it's like, oh wow, I get to see this again.
That's wonderful. You, Gerald, is this a new experience for you?
For me in Los Angeles, yes. I used to go to the Lyric Opera very often in Chicago.
Oh, in Chicago. Okay, so how long have you been here in Los Angeles?
30 years.
Oh, well. Okay, so we're all in for a new experience this afternoon then. It's going to be very exciting. We've been promised some amazing performers. We have James Conlon doing the conducting, so it's going to be a really great afternoon for us and the viewers.
Partigiani, il razza here to scientifically prove the end result of riding a bicycle against traffic. The average car weighs 6,000 pounds. The average bicycle with rider weighs 170 pounds, give or take a few. A typical car traveling 35 miles per hour has 220 times the momentum or energy of a bike rider traveling 10 miles per hour. And if the two collide, bug splatter. Avoid being bug splatter.
Ride right, stop at the light, watch the road.
Hey, buddy! Don't you know you should never leave a cooking pan unattended? And a working smoke detector can warn you of a fire. Like the one behind me. My hero!
Next time, listen to the ball. Have a smoke detector and a fire extinguisher that work.
How'd you know?
The ball called.
Welcome back to Aging Well in LA. Today's program is from the Los Angeles Music Center, where the Los Angeles Opera has invited senior citizens to the final dress rehearsal of Verdi's opera Rigoletto. We will return to the stage of the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion in a moment. But first, today's visit to Caregivers Corner.
Oftentimes as caregivers, we put ourselves at the end of the list. We don't take care of ourselves as well as we should. And yet it is important, like the example we're given when we go on an airplane, of putting the oxygen mask on first before you help others. It's a similar concept in family caregiving. You do have to take care of yourself before you start to help others. So one of the ways that we suggest you do that is by making a weekly plan for you, a very specific plan, a plan that will help you stay focused on making time for yourself. I know you're saying, no, I don't have time for that. I'm already overwhelmed with everything else. The real issue is that you must make time for yourself. Make time. You start by doing something like determining what is something you want to do. Not something you should do or someone else thinks needs to be done, but something you want to do. It could be something as simple as being out in the garden for a little bit and gardening, or going to sit near the water fountain out in the park, go golfing. Whatever it is that you like to do, you need to find something that you want to do. Then you need to make a specific plan about when you're going to do this. Are you going to do it Tuesday around 1 o'clock? After your care receiver has had lunch and is resting? Are you going to do it on Saturday morning? Find a specific time that you're going to do this and determine what you're going to do once you're there. Are you going to just sit and enjoy the water fountain? Are you going to take a couple magazines with you and finally get to go through them? Figure this out and be very specific so that eventually your plan for the week is, on Tuesday, I'm going to go to the water fountain at the park. On Tuesday afternoon about 2 o'clock, I'm going to sit there for an hour and a half and read my magazines. Once you've made your plan, then look at it and think, okay, how confident am I that I'm going to be able to do this? I'd say I'm at a confidence level of 8 because I think I can get somebody to come and stay with Mom while I go do this. Now, if your confidence level is less than a 6, maybe you need to rethink it. Make it more bite-sized. So instead of planning on going both on Tuesday and Saturday, just decide which day is better and make it for one day so that you really can achieve your goal. You'll find that if you make a weekly plan for you and stick to it and avoid canceling out on yourself, it will really make a difference in how you care for yourself, for your care receiver, and for the entire family. It will make a difference.
And now, let's return to the stage of the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion and join senior citizens from all over Los Angeles County enjoying the final dress rehearsal of Rigoletto by Giuseppe Verdi.
performances like this for the seniors today wouldn't be possible without the help of volunteers like yourselves. Tell me, what got you involved with Los Angeles Opera?
When I retired from work, and I had friends that were volunteers here with the Opera League, and they said, "Oh, you must come, you'll love it," and I can tell you I have thoroughly enjoyed it. And I met some of the most wonderful people. Just a lot of fun. We do a lot of things for the Opera League here. We feed the cast. We work in the boutique shop. They have an educational department. And bringing the seniors and the students here is absolutely wonderful. And we visit and talk with them, make them feel welcome. Then after we all do all that, we get to go to see the opera, which is great.
Oh, that's excellent. Now, I understand some of you actually go out to the senior centres and teach the seniors about the opera before performances like this.
Somebody does.
Some of them.
Yeah, we're not involved in that aspect, but there are some. There's so many departments and things, and the different ones do different things.
Now, Claire, how long have you been volunteering here?
5 years.
5 years. And you've loved every minute?
I love every minute of it, and I met the wonderful people, and
so you can recommend to seniors, or in fact anybody that's got a few spare hours on their hands, to come along here to opera and volunteer.
Oh yeah, we always need volunteers.
So they would just get in contact with the opera here, and I guess they have a whole department that deals with volunteers and helps. I'm sure you have to go through some training process as well.
Well, yes, you do, for what you're going to, whatever particular area you're going to be working in, yes.
Excellent.
Just a great staff here. Wonderful staff here at the Music Center.
Wonderful.
Just love it.
Great. Thank you, ladies, so much. I know you're busy today, so thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us.
Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
What's really fun is talking to the seniors here. They had a 103-year-old lady there that sings so many operas. She's gone, but she was a delight to talk with.
I know, people are so appreciative of this chance to come along, and we really appreciate what LA Opera does for the city's seniors. With Lillian Calamari. She's a program manager with SRO Housing, and she's with their senior program. Lillian, it's just so great to be here today. Is this the first time SRO Housing has had the chance to come to Senior Opera?
No, we come here whenever we can. I try to apply to get us in. We come about every other year. We're here.
Now, the seniors you work with generally are very low-income seniors.
Yes.
They have a whole number of challenges that they're facing on a day-to-day basis. Tell me, how important are programs like this for them?
It's very important to them. They love to come here. It's a nice venue for them to participate in. We show them films of the opera before they come. We give a presentation. they really get excited about coming here. They love coming to the opera.
Yeah, it's a very important chance for them to
Yes.
see live performances where perhaps they couldn't really afford to come along.
That's
you know,
right.
in the general scheme of things.
That's right. And I rode the van up here with the seniors, and one senior was talking excitedly about how he had gotten a video from the library and watched it before they came. And they just really get into it, and they get books in the library about it. We present them information and educate them about the opera, but
so it's much more than just the afternoon itself.
Yes, they love to study it before they come. They're very excited about venues like this. I also take them to the museums. They love the museums as well.
Yeah, and it's also a great social opportunity for the seniors, really from all over the county of Los Angeles, to get together at events like this.
That's right.
How many seniors have you brought with you today?
We brought like 22 seniors with us today.
And is it just a case of applying for the tickets, or is there a little bit more to it than that?
Well, when they need to sign up, we need to sign them up, and again, we have to educate them on the opera. We want them to know what they're seeing. They love to learn about things. They love education, and this is another education opportunity for them to learn something.
And I think especially with the cuts in education for adults, and certainly in programs that seniors can participate in for educational opportunities like this are very rare, and we really need to support them as much as we can, because we want them to carry on for many years, and to have many seniors from all of our senior centres coming along and getting this opportunity.
Lifelong education is very important for seniors. It keeps their minds active, it keeps them active, it keeps them interested in life. It's a very important thing.
Now, Lillian, I know you're also an art teacher.
Yes, I am.
I know, because every year we have our senior art exhibit at the City Hall in the Bridge Gallery there, and some of Lillian's participants at her classes, they enter their works in our annual exhibition.
Yes.
So also, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's an art workshop I started 18 years ago when I first started working down on Skid Row. There were no programs, there were no art programs or education programs for the people. So I just went to one of the shelters and asked them if I could set up a little art workshop. And they said yes, and I did. So like 4 or 5 years I was teaching in the shelter. And then the company I work for, SRO Housing Corporation, they wanted me to move it to our property, and they gave me a loft for the artists to work in. It was very nice.
Yeah, and they're producing some amazing work.
Yes.
Really, multimedia work, amazing work.
Yes.
And it's really just so important how important the arts are to seniors in their everyday lives.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's very important.
Thank you, Lillian. Was absolutely fantastic. From everyone here at Los Angeles Opera and for Aging Well in LA, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Hi, I'm Eric Garcetti, and I'm proud to represent Hollywood on the Los Angeles City Council. There are so many interesting things to see here, some famous, some less famous but just as interesting. Today, we'll show you one of each. So let's go on location at one of Hollywood's landmarks. The Hollywood Museum boasts more than 10,000 exhibits of props, costumes, sets, and other memorabilia from film and television favorites. Rocky's boxing gloves, Indiana Jones's whip, and Superman's cape have all retired at the Hollywood Museum. Hannibal Lecter's jail cell from Silence of the Lambs is here also, along with the gold Cadillac featured in Dreamgirls and thousands of other items made famous in Hollywood. The museum is housed in the former Max Factor building, where the makeup expert worked his magic on movie stars. This is where Marilyn Monroe became a blonde, and Lucille Ball got that red hue. The museum is open Wednesday through Sunday, and you can get more information by going to www.thehollywoodmuseum.com. After you've seen the Hollywood Museum, walk across the street and check out another Hollywood locale. The Portrait of Hollywood mural at Hollywood High School was completed in 2002 and features notable performers, including Hollywood High alumni Judy Garland, Carol Burnett, Brandy, Ricky Nelson, Lawrence Fishburne, and Lana Turner. In 2008, actor John Ritter, who was the student body president when he attended the school, was added to the side of the building. In addition to being an accomplished muralist, artist Eloy Torres teaches at-risk youth at the nearby Hollywood Boys and Girls Club. It's all right here in Hollywood, so bring your family and check it out today.
G'day, Troy McCubbin from North Hollywood. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35, our city, our channel.
Okay. So, Mr. Cardenas, if Mr. Cardenas can come to the chambers, that'll be our 10th member. I understand Mr. Krikorian may be sick today. So we are on hold till we get our 10th member. We are now on. We will do a presentation while we're waiting the quorum to arrive. Council President Garcetti and Ms. Perry will do a presentation while we await the quorum. Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues. And it gives me great joy to join with Jan Perry, the councilwoman from Little Tokyo. I know if Ms. Han was here, she has in the past celebrated the roots in San Pedro of many of our Japanese Americans. But to be able to welcome to our chambers a very special friend and a great representative from Japan, Mr. Jun Nimi, the Consul General of Japan. And he assumed the post as our new Consul General for the City of Los Angeles and for this region last month. We're very pleased to have him posted in our city. Mr. Nimi began working for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 1979. He's had assignments in England, in Kenya, in France, in Iran, Russia, and Thailand, and at the ministry's headquarters in Tokyo as well. He served as the Director of the Overseas Public Relations Division, Director of the Consular Policy Division, Director of the Overseas Establishment Division, and Assistant Vice Minister. Mr. Nimi and I were discussing upstairs his commitment to our city and to strengthening the ties between our countries and the long-standing friendship that exists with his country. It's very important to our economy, and with so many Japanese Americans living in Southern California, Japanese culture is also a part of our culture, and we very much welcome him. This is his first post in the United States, and we were talking a little bit upstairs, but his goals to thank the work that we did around the earthquake, which Ms. Perry led the way on, to strengthen the ties between our countries economically, and finally also to look at what we can do to honor what Japanese Americans have done in Japanese culture here in Los Angeles are three very laudable goals and ones that I know that we will partner together with him. So I'd like to turn it over to Councilwoman Perry to say a few words, and then we'd like to officially receive the Consul General and hear a few words from him as well. Councilwoman Perry.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President, and to Consul General Naimi. Welcome. You join a long list of distinguished Consul Generals from Japan. Consul General Kono, Consul General Ihara, who's just departed, and I expect you will have an extraordinary time and opportunity building relationships with the Japanese American community throughout the state. Little Tokyo is the largest designated historic Japan town in the state of California. So you will find many opportunities to celebrate arts, history, and culture here right in Los Angeles. And I had the opportunity to welcome you several weeks ago, welcome you again, and look forward to your wife joining you sometime next year. So that your life will be complete. And it's just nice to be able to begin a new relationship and to start off on the right foot, sharing experiences, exchanging cultural opportunities, and learning more about each other's country. So welcome to you.
Thank you very much. And as I mentioned, almost everybody in the council here, I think, has spent time in Japan. We certainly enjoy our friendship with Nagoya, our sister city. But whether it was Council Member Huizar going there and looking at education programs, whether it's Mr. Labange and Mr. Reyes and others who have traveled, we really are a council that wants to continue to deepen that friendship. And I want to present on behalf of all of the City Council who has signed this today to Consul General Jun Niimi, on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, best wishes and warm regards for our continued friendship. Please welcome our Consul General with a round of applause. Thank you. And did I say a few words?
Thank you very much, Honorable President Eric Garcetti and Honorable Council Member Jan Perry, esteemed City Council members, distinguished staff of the City of Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your warm welcome and for allowing me to pay a courtesy call today. Japan has long enjoyed strong ties with the city of Los Angeles. The Southern California region has the largest number of Japanese nationals in the world outside Japan. And the city of Los Angeles serves as the main hub for the activities of the local Japanese community. The city has a high concentration of Japanese business, especially trading companies, banks, and restaurants, and is one of the top destinations for Japanese tourists. Los Angeles is also home to the historic heart of the Japanese-American community, Little Tokyo, which has served as an important gateway to Japan for many generations. In the past year, the people of Los Angeles, including the leadership of the city, responded generously after the tragedy of the Great East Japan earthquake of March 11th. In one of Japan's greatest times of need in the last half-century, we appreciate the assistance you extended to us. Taking this opportunity, I would like to thank the Los Angeles City Council and the people of Los Angeles for all of your support. I will do my best to further strengthen the existing good ties between Los Angeles and Japan, and would be most grateful if you could extend it to me the same kindness you shared with my predecessors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and welcome again to the City of Los Angeles Consul General of Japan. Thank you, Mr. Garcetti, Ms. Perry. Mr. Clerk, we have 11 members. Please call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Englander, Weezer, Kretz, Krokorian, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, West, and Zine, Garcetti, 11 members present, and a quorum, Mr. President.
Very well. First item, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Parks, seconded by Mr. Krokorian.
Mr. President, that takes us to commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Koretz, seconded by Mr. Englander.
Mr. President, at this time, would you care to run through the agenda?
Let's do that.
Item 1 is an item notice for public hearing. Sir, we do have a card on this matter.
Hold that one special.
Very good. Items 2 through 10 are items for which public hearings have been held. There's a request from member to continue item 2 to December 6th and continue item 3 to December 2nd.
Without opposition, both continued. Continue, please.
Mr. President, that leaves items 4 through 10 before you.
4 through 10. Mr. Parks?
You 7 to Friday.
7 to Friday. Continue 7 to Friday. And
that would be December 2nd, sir.
December 2nd. Mr. Koretz?
I'd like to call item 9 special.
9 special. Mr. Koretz? Okay. On the remaining items, colleagues, do we have cards, Mr. Clerk?
Sir, we do. Public hearing has been satisfied in committee. If you'd like to reopen it, we can do so for those matters.
There's no council members requesting that, so let's take those items and move them forward. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Next group, please.
Mr. President, that brings us to items 11 through 20. Those items are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Do we have cards?
Sir, we have cards on items 11, 18, and 19.
So let's call those special. On the remaining items, colleagues, any special? Seeing none. Remaining items, open the roll.
Mr. President, pardon me, before doing so, a number of the items are ordinances. Would you like to hold them till we have 12 members? Those would be items 11 through 17.
We're expecting Mr. Cardenas, so let's hold those to Mr. Cardenas' arrival. Hold those on the desk.
Very good, sir. I believe that brings us down to only item 20 that is now before you.
Number 20, open the roll. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Next item, please. Closed session. 21-22, closed session?
Yes, sir. Would you like to hold those on the desk?
Yes, we'll hold those. And I'll start with public comment. Mr. Walsh, Hollywood Highlands. Mr. Parks?
Recommend on 21-22 that they be enclosed.
Yeah, 21-22 will be enclosed. Yes, they will be. Dr. Williams will be after Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, where were you all this morning, earlier this morning, when the quiet riot, the LA apocalypse occurred? Were you hiding in foxholes? Saw the mayor's face out there. We demand HollywoodHighlands.org immediate release of all 200 occupiers taken political prisoners earlier this morning. We demand that you drop all charges. Unfortunately, the National Lawyers Guild in the LA Times is praising the police. For shame on them. The cost paid, according to Beck, for what happened earlier this morning was paid, and it appears in the LA Times, partially by AEG, Apocalypse LA. Are we asking for a motion to commend the bravery of the occupiers in the face of more than 1,200 LAPD officers? It was amazing. Where was all the booby traps? Where was all these evil communists? No, they were all honorable people. I wish the LAPD, all 1,200, had been honorable. For the first time in America, we have embedded press. We had it against Saddam Hussein, and now it's here in America against our own people. The LA Times and the media knew 1 day ahead of time, Sunday, and they said it on Channel 5 and Channel 11, that they kept quiet, and they did not do it. They kept quiet about what was happening. If you want all the information, this was all a deadline in the United States that all of these occupiers would be removed from city halls all over America by November 30th. Go to policeforum.org. The organization is called the PERF. The November 2nd, they had a conference call. The mayor was in it. HollywoodHighlands.org for the truth.
Dr. Tom Williams, followed by Antonio Lopez, then Eric Watson.
Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council. Second time in my lifetime. Chain link fences around a vacant lot. First time was when I returned to Berkeley from Nevada, and there were 2,400 National Guard, twice as many as the police in LA. They were protecting what? A vacant lot. It is still a vacant lot after almost 40 years. Why? Because it was a symbol. I don't care so much about the arrests. It's a matter as to, we had arrests. We had 400 people arrested in Berkeley one day. They were given one paid telephone to use. What happened? They all got arrest records without expungement. Every one of them has to always answer, yes, I've been arrested. Were they ever convicted? There were no convictions out of 400 arrests. Failure to disperse. Real issue. What do we have now? I thought the city council had given permission to the protesters, the occupiers, to be there. What happened? Didn't the LA City Council have a vote to stop it? I don't know. Doesn't seem to be. So what I would suggest is that you rename the South Plaza area as People's Park South. We have a People's Park North in Berkeley. But hey, what's been happening? The shame in the United States this year. The United States government authorized the execution, assassination of 2 American citizens in Yemen. American citizens were killed by the government. Who's next? Thank you.
Antonia Lopez is our next speaker. After Mr. Lopez is Eric Watson. Good morning.
Good morning. Oh.
Por favor. No, es por la traducción.
Muy buenos días, toda la mesa directiva, cada uno de ustedes reciba de parte de mi corazón ustedes y sus familias.
Board members. I want good morning to all the board members. I am coming from the bottom of my heart.
Espero hubieran tenido una feliz día de acción, día de dar gracias.
I hope you had a very good Thanksgiving.
Hoy continuamos con esto. Primera palabra.
We are continuing with this today. First word.
Yo estoy con los cerebros frescos.
My brain is clear.
Futuros de colegios y universidades.
The future of schools and universities.
No quiero ya cerebros viejos que no sirven para nada, para la basura.
I don't want old brains that are good for nothing, are just good for the garbage.
Quiero todos mis jóvenes afuera y ellos están protestando por sus derechos y yo necesito que les escuchen. Vamos a negociaciones. No quiero que los abogados estén tomando un montón de dinero, el cual no lo hay.
I want all the youngsters that are outside, they are fighting for their rights, and I don't want all the law attorneys to take all the money that they don't have.
No quiero inversiones, invertores, inversionistas puestos en diferentes jóvenes que están allí, porque nuestros jóvenes necesitan estudiar y los quiero la orden de todos ustedes ya afuera.
We need to invest in the young ones because they need to study, and I want you to give an order.
Porque nuestros jóvenes aman al City Hall, aman la ciudadanía, aman el estudio, los aman a todos ustedes, los aman. ¿Por qué están a contra de ellos?
Discúlpame por la traducción.
The young ones, they love City Hall, they love the citizenship, they love all of you, and why are you against them?
Es nuestro futuro. Y están en contra de ellos, poniendo allí la policía, señor. Van a tener muchas demandas.
Gracias,
señor. No quiero eso.
It is our future and you are against them and you are putting the police against them and there are going to be a lot of lawsuits and I don't want that.
Okay. Our next speaker is Eric Watson. Gracias, señor. Muchas gracias por sus palabras. Eric Watson is our next speaker. And after Mr. Watson will be Joan Donovan. Good morning.
Good morning. On October 13th, this council passed a resolution in support of Occupy Los Angeles. As you may or may not know, earlier this morning, the mayor authorized the police chief to remove Occupy Los Angeles from City Hall by force. Does the City Council condemn the mayor's unilateral action, support the mayor's decision, or will it remain silent on this issue? I ask you to insist that the district attorney immediately release without bail or charges the political prisoners arrested against the will of this council and the people of Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you. Joan Donovan is our next speaker. After that is Laser Haas.
Hi, Joan Donovan, District 5. I want to thank Councilman Rosendahl for coming down this weekend to speak to us. It was very kind of him. I know you're used to people doing the mic check, but today I'd like to do a little bit of a reality check. The goal of the Occupy movement is to target the collusion between the free press, representative government, and the banks. And one of the things that we've been able to show very clearly is that the public are not as free as they believe. While they may have choices like Coke or Pepsi or Kaiser or Blue Cross, the choice is always to consume or be arrested. Occupy LA brought Skid Row to City Hall, and you guys did nothing. Now, 250 citizens are in jail on $5,000 bail on a trumped-up charge so that you can prevent them from coming back to City Hall for tonight's General Assembly. If the arraignments do not happen today, we know it is because you are trying to prevent them from coming back to exercise their right to free speech. They should get a ticket for being in the park. I agree. They shouldn't be out on 5K bail, and there's still no bankers in jail. That's a reality check. What is shown by the fences that you've put up at City Hall and around the Bank of America is that while we are peaceful, you are preparing for war, oversleeping in a park. And we know from CBS and KTLA that the police were asked not to film or report certain things to gain a tactical advantage over the people last night. This is a war of information. Remember, the press is supposed to work for the people, not in collusion with the police. That is not a free press. Reality check. We ask that you release the protesters without charges and issue the appropriate penalty of a ticket. Thank you.
Thank you. Laser Haas is our next speaker. After that is Jacqueline Richardson.
Good morning. I came here this morning to talk to you about the 1,000 jobs that were stolen from Los Angeles, California by Goldman Sachs and eToys and Mitt Romney's Bain entity. Toys R Us now owns FAO Schwartz, KB Toys, eToys, and Baby Universe, and their attorneys confessed lying 34 times under oath. This is the exact type of case that the Occupy movement is protesting. The judge said lying under oath 34 times wasn't perjury. This is the inequity that we're protesting about. If you stand by idle and let people steal from us, what you're doing is instilling civil unrest. If you won't allow us to peacefully protest this gross inadequacy of justice, then you are forcing us to become a different type of person. The Declaration of Independence said we had the right and the duty to overthrow tyranny and corruption. If you stand by idle and let this type of stuff happen and remove peaceful protesters, you do something a great man said. Those who make peaceful protest impossible make violent protest inevitable. And that was said by John F. Kennedy. These people are heroes just like Gandhi, Mandela, and all the other nameless people throughout time who stood against tyranny, cronyism, and corruption. It is your city that this stuff was stolen from. We can get 1,000 jobs back. Only one man has given me time of day, Mr. Rosendahl. Nobody else talked to me except the city attorney who shook my hand and gave me his word that he would go to the U.S. attorney and ask why. But he hasn't returned our call. Instead, we're now locked out where we can't tell anybody else about it. And that's a travesty, miscarriage of justice. I ask you to have a conscience and remember that you work for us. You make 3 times the salary of the average person in this city. Use it for goodwill, not for bad will. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. Jacqueline Richardson is our next speaker. After Jacqueline Richardson will be Arnold Sachs. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. This is about a tax. It'll be pretty short. Betty and Fred attack people with directed energies. The LAPD, FBI, FCC, and INS, that's Los Angeles Police Department, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Federal Communications, and the INS have complaints from me about the attacks. There are about 4 or 5 other women who help them with their energy-directed attacks. You can't see the attacks there. You have to have special machinery to detect them. Betty and Fred say that a police department not in the city, out of the city, a police department out of the city hired them, and also a large corporation that is nearby, and that's the total report right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Arnold Sachs is our next speaker. Peter Totem is going to follow Mr. Sachs. Sorry, you're second. Mr. Sachs is next. Come on, Mr. Sachs. It's okay. When we find out information, we'll take care of that. Don't you worry. It's your time to speak. Thank you, though.
Thank you. Good morning, Arnold Sachs. Well, to say that I'm shocked and agog wouldn't be quite saying it right. the press as a pawn of political leadership. Who'd have thunk it? In L.A., of all places, where open and transparency should be on the flag as a motto. Holy cow. Let me give you an example. Keeping business that much closer to home. This is from the Times, 10/15, 2011. L.A. lawmakers okay an ordinance giving local firms an edge when seeking city contracts. Then they define local as county and state of California. So what does that mean? Well, take it as an example of the press being fair and unbiased in their reporting. Here's a story from the USA Today from Monday, quoting Mayor Villaraigosa, that in 7 short weeks you have awakened the country's conscience, Villaraigosa wrote in an open letter to the protesters. So where you been before the 7 short weeks of this Occupy LA movement? Maybe you didn't know that the government, the city, the state, the public, there's an economic crisis. So, Mr. Mayor, you still haven't woken up. Also, oh, by the way, regarding that local ordinance giving businesses a local advantage, council panel urges major deal with an Arizona firm, November 2011, $97.5 million contract, after you gave local firms an advantage. Oh, by the way, what's the status on the ratepayer advocate? From June 15th, you're still making movements. I think they're not the movements that are showing an open and transparent council, though.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Peter Tatum is our next speaker. After that is Chuck Tenon.
Special thanks to the gentleman from Berkeley and to Joe Donovan for their excellent comments. I went to Berkeley for law school. I know some of you are attorneys, and you are all aware that, and the mayor is aware that a temporary restraining order motion was filed on Monday. There was an additional motion filed by one of the occupiers in federal court. So you had 2 pending motions regarding the injunction request that were ignored by the LAPD and by the mayor when the final order was given. Now, the decision has not come down. That remains to be seen. But here's the reality. Overwhelming police force was used yesterday, 1,800 police officers, to arrest 200 citizens who were exercising their First Amendment rights, trying to protect and to bring to the attention of
We can hear you a little
LA
better if you
Times
just come back. It won't pop as
and
much.
the media,
We'll turn it up.
the homelessness problem, which has exploded in this city. We've gone from 70,000 to 90,000 people sleeping on the streets. There are 65,000 homes in process of being foreclosed. That's over 200,000 people that might be on the streets. And you are spending tens of millions of dollars on real estate contractors, projects. There's a football stadium that gets the time of day every single time I come into this city council chambers. The people of Los Angeles are deeply hurting. There are no jobs. And your solution, your short-term fix, is a football stadium for 2 or 3 years of 10,000, 15,000 jobs. The mayor is about to take an 11-day vacation on December 3rd to China with many of the members of the 1% with him on that plane. We are transferring jobs to low-cost labor centers while the cost of labor in this country shrinks and the middle class shrinks. And there are very real needs for leaders who will stand, like Bill Rosendahl, Richard Alarcon, and Eric Garcetti, for the people of this country and for their children and for their future. Please, Occupy LA will continue. We will meet today at 4 o'clock. I'm going to conclude.
Thank you, sir.
We'll be back.
Appreciate it, Peter. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Chuck Tenon, who we have missed in these chambers and in committee. It's good to see you, Chuck, and welcome back. I was just asking Herb Wesson where you were these days.
Good morning, Council President Garcetti and council members. I came down to congratulate the Honorable Herb Wesson, Council District 10, for being recently elected as the City Council President. A good decision by the City Council members for a deserving person who will follow in the footsteps of Eric Garcetti, a proven leader in leading the city forward. Councilman Wesson is also a proven leader, As chair of the Housing Committee, he's helped many, many people during the housing crisis. He was instrumental in passing legislation that has helped homeowners and renters alike and people of LA that needed help in getting into affordable housing, low-income people achieving the great American dream of owning their own home. He reached out and helped kids of this city with programs and events that gave kids an opportunity, such as his Camp Weston, that was educational camping. He took kids on a fishing trip. That video got an award in the African American Film Festival. Herb will make a great city council president, as did Eric Garcetti, who always gave you the time of the day and made himself available to people like you and I. So to the people of the city, I urge all of you, especially the city council members, to give 100% support to this man in leading this city forward. Council members Bernard Parks and Jan Perry did not show up or support Herb when he was elected. You both need to give him 100% support to make this council work for us. Eric Garcetti, you will be missed, but the presidency will be in good hands. You did a great job. I asked Herb a few years ago when he had an opportunity to run against you for re-election, and he said, Eric does a great job. I support him. I will not run against him, but my time will come. Guess what? It has. And Herb, I still need a kids' choir to sing the song Stop the Violence that Janice Hahn tried so hard to get a kids' choir. God bless you both. And
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you for the kind words. Good to see you, and thank you for coming in. Magdalena Rod is our next speaker. After that is Wayne Spindler. Is Magdalena Rod? Magdalena Rod? Nope. Okay. Wayne Spindler then. And after that will be Teddy Neubauer.
I witnessed last night the army that now we have. We don't have a police department now. We have a militarized army for a couple of hundred people unarmed. But I want to talk about the Fox 11 News who covered this, and there's an anchor called Carlos Amezcua. There was a man stuck in a tree right out in front of City Hall, and he wouldn't come down from the tree, so this journalist who said that the people tweeting the protest were not journalists and that he was a journalist, then said that they should shoot the guy down from the tree like a bear using a stun gun. And then he laughed. That about sums up the media's coverage of events in Los Angeles. The criminals in the city are the media primarily because they come to these chambers, they come to council, but they never really cover anything that happens inside this so-called temple of justice. So today, you have an entire wall. Nobody can get into the park surrounding this entire block. So I say, like President Reagan said to the absolute corrupt dictatorial governments, Mr. Garcetti, tear down that wall. Open the park back up to the people. You have no right to arrest hundreds of people who were given the permission by this council to stay. The National Lawyers Guild failed because none of them understand the law that the landlord-tenant rights in California were what protected these people. They were entitled to 60 days notice before they could be evicted off of the property. Nobody got that. I hope they sue the hell out of the city because they're entitled to those damages. And now everybody sees around the world what Los Angeles is, a third world dictatorship. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Teddy Neubauer. And then after that will be Vanessa Molano. Good morning.
Down the hall, we have a press conference going on. Why is the public not allowed to participate? Are we interested in equitable law enforcement? Because of LAPD's tactical screw-up in MacArthur Park, the Latino community is allowed to disobey any laws they feel like. You've got shopping carts, each one with a fire in its belly, cooking hot dogs, blocking the exit and the entrance to the Kodak Theater. You didn't allow us to secede from Los Angeles, so how about, now we're at the mercy with 80-mile-an-hour winds in the wings. We're at the mercy of these people with their illegal carts, each one with a fire. What happens if a tourist trips over one of those carts and gets very badly burned? The lawsuit is going to come right back home to this body where it belongs. Now, what about the silver dollars being counterfeit silver dollars being sold on Los Angeles Street between 5th and 6th? Where's the Department of the Treasury when you need it? Probably being kept out by this council. How about the counterfeit DVDs being sold on 6th Street between Alvarado and Union? That new vampire picture? You can get it on the street. You don't have to go to the theater. Mayor B's privileged, illegal pistoleros are selling it on the street. When are you going to start protecting the entertainment product in this community?
Thank you, Mr. Neubauer. Vanessa Milano is our next speaker. After that is Jason Pannell.
Hi. I came here spontaneously to express my feelings.
Yep.
First of all, I'm an LA resident. My parents are taxpayers here. I just graduated last year with a dual degree in ethics and economics, and I can't find any job worth having. I've spent my time at home trying to save my parents' money, trying to save them from our home being foreclosed, and they're paying taxes to you to help us who are the public who are suffering from this economic decline. And Occupy LA has given us hope and has actually help me advance my activism and make me feel that I can actually change the influence that our people have over the corporations' influence over our government. And then to see this happen, to see the taxpayers' money go to like stomping that voice and to flattening that out, it makes me really angry. And the mayor says that this is a threat to public safety, a threat to public health, but the corporate influence in our government is a threat to public safety and public health. And the hypocrisy that he just so blatantly shows from saying that this occupation is not sustainable. The hypocrisy of this city hall is not sustainable. And I'll make sure to spend my time researching the corporate influence in this city hall and to see what's going on with each of the individuals who are involved in making this decision. And this is just not fair. Why do this? Why spend our resources on this instead of actually responding to the messages that we've been saying, instead of helping other people and using the money to prevent foreclosures or to actually do the things that we stand up for? I don't want to be angry at the City Hall. I want the City Hall to work for me and to work for the people who care about justice, or to actually even think about those concepts or maybe take a philosophy class. It's just not right, and the public is not going to buy it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your words. Jason Pannell is our next speaker. After that, we'll go to San Pedro, and we'll hear from Eric Eisenberg next in San Pedro. Good morning.
I'm here to comment as a witness of last night's raid and a member of the independent media here. So I was in the middle when the officers stormed in. I was trying to cover the event to the best that I could. I was a little bit disappointed the way that they restricted the media coverage in there and did not allow independent media coverage in there. There was only a few select individual media people that were actually able to go in and cover the events of what was actually going on down there. In the time that I was in the center area where most of the action was going on, I must say that most of the officers were acting in a civilized and somewhat restrained manner, but there was a small group of them who did not have name tags on their helmets and who had their badges covered up, which I believe is a violation of the law. And one of those officers charged me and put a baton in my stomach, knocking me over and a fellow people behind me. I did not provoke that in any way whatsoever. I was trying to get information about what was going on because there was actually no announcement by the invading force of officers explaining what was going on, and the orders to actually disperse and leave came much, much later after they already came in and occupied the square and started employing what seemed like a police state tactical mentality. All in all, though, I must commend the LAPD, but there are a few individuals within the force that I feel are not acting in accordance with the rest of the LAPD, and I feel like we should work together to identify those few bad apples in the bunch that were looking to invoke violence. I do have footage of some of those individuals. I'm not sure who to talk to in regards to that, but yeah, I was a little bit disappointed with how things went down last night, and I feel like the movement is much, much more important than what took place from the city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We're next go to San Pedro, and we have Eric Eisenberg, followed by Marta Valladolid. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, council members. My name is Eric Eisenberg. I am the founder and president of the San Pedro Business Improvement District. Currently, I'm before you because our district, Council District number 15, is without representation. So we have a bit of an issue here that we have a parking meter motion that will be before you. It's been extended through Friday in Van Nuys, at which time we will not be able to have our constituents make a comment remotely. So there will be a few of them that will follow me. But traditionally, our parking meters are given a holiday break a couple weeks before Christmas. This is primarily so that our downtown merchants in our historic district can compete against the likes of Target and other big box stores that offer free parking. This motion again will be before you on Friday. I will implore you to once again pass it for us so that we can give our merchants a much needed break in these very difficult times, and they are all trying to just make their ends meet, and that's all I have to say about it. Have a fantastic day and a great Christmas holiday. Thank you.
Thank you, and I was very happy, Mr. Eisenberg, to put that motion in, even though there isn't a representative for Council District 15, and we will be voting on that, but I was happy to do that. Marta Valladolid, and then Betsy Cheek. Good morning, Marta.
Good morning. I sit on the board of directors of the San Pedro Chamber, and I'm a longtime merchant of San Pedro. I've been in business for over 30 years, and it is very important that we be able to maintain our clientele by offering them free parking. Parking is essential to our community, our businesses, our restaurants, because we're trying to compete with big businesses who offer free parking and even some places valet parking. Now, for the businesses to continue and thrive in San Pedro, we really need to have this motion passed so we can continue to offer this to our clients. We have senior clients, middle-aged clients, but parking is scarce in San Pedro, and when you have to pay during the holidays and you extend your time period in someone's business and you walk out and get a ticket, that's very upsetting to the community, and it leaves people with a bad taste in their mouth where they will eventually refuse to come down to San Pedro to have to pay to park, to be able to conduct business and help the business continue to thrive. I thank you for listening to my comment, and I hope that the motion gets passed. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next speaker is Betsy Cheek. Also in San Pedro? Do we still have a connection? There we go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Betsy Cheek. I am the President and CEO of the San Pedro Chamber of Commerce, and I'm speaking on behalf of our Board of Directors and our 460 member organizations. We are speaking in support of Mr. Garcetti's motion to relax parking fees in San Pedro during the holiday season, specifically from December 10th through the 30th. Our parking issues are complicated and won't be solved today. However, in order to help our downtown merchants be competitive during these difficult times, and especially the holiday season, we're asking that the fees be relaxed during that period of time. This will help them be competitive with the local malls and with the big stores like Target. We really appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Catherine Gray is next in San Pedro. Thank you. And then after that will be Dan Hoffman. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having us here today. I'm Catherine Gray, and I'm with the San Pedro Convention Visitors Bureau. I'm here to tell you that it is critical that we get free parking before Christmas, as it has been very beneficial to merchants and restaurants in downtown San Pedro in the past. As parking operates at a loss for the city in San Pedro, the city needs the tax revenue from increased sales over the holidays. We are competing with the malls and all other areas in San Pedro, as they all have free parking. When I had a shop in San Pedro, people would come in and say they only would come to San Pedro when there was free parking. It has also been unanimously voted on and endorsed by the Central San Pedro Neighborhood Council that this motion be passed. Without a city sitting council person, we feel left out of the process right now, and we come to you needing help and support from the rest of the city, knowing that you realize the challenges in downtown San Pedro. We are not asking for anything new, but only a continuance of a San Pedro tradition. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And before our last speaker, Dan Hoffman, I want to recognize Mr. Rosendahl. Before the children leave, we want to recognize the school.
Yes, I'd like to recognize the Kentwood students. Come on back in for a quick second.
Quick.
What you got to see, and for the viewers out there, this is the Kentwood Elementary School in Westchester, and Mrs. Kim and Mrs. Buckley are the teachers there, and all the students are waving their hands. If we could just have the camera go and look at them all. And colleagues, let's give them a round of applause. Great Kentwood. Thanks for coming into City Hall. This is one of those beautiful buildings where you see democracy up front. And run for office and come on up here as life goes on, okay? Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rosendahl, and thank you to our students for being here and their teachers and parents as well. Dan Hoffman is our last speaker in San Pedro, and good morning to you.
Good morning. I'm Dan Hoffman, the Executive Director for the Wilmington Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for giving me a few moments this morning. I also would like to chime in on the holiday parking for December 10th to the 30th for our Wilmington community. We also happen to manage the Business Improvement District, and at our annual meeting, our merchants told us that parking was the #1 issue for them. And so we are asking you once again, as you've done, I think since I've been the director for the Chamber the last 7 years, every one of those years we've had free parking. And so we're asking you to please support that, support us to continue that practice, to give our small businesses, our very small businesses, an opportunity to compete with the local malls. And wishing you very happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you, and the same to you. And we encourage folks to get out there in San Pedro, Wilmington, do their holiday shopping at local and independent businesses. We appreciate that. Magdalena Rod is our last speaker. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for hearing me. I come to you today as a concerned citizen, as an environmentalist, as an occupier, and as a mother. Why do I occupy? I occupy for the future of our children, for the children that were just present in this courtroom, for my own child, and for all the children of the world. They deserve a sustainable future. I was present in Solidarity Park last night. After being repeatedly told by the LAPD, as well as the mayor, that ample notice would be given for people to remove themselves from the park safely, I witnessed the Los Angeles Police Department storming into the park with unprecedented aggression, pushing people and anything in their way out of their way. I became concerned for my safety, and as I began to remove myself from the park to ensure my own safety, I was pushed aggressively by an officer and nearly fell down. As a concerned citizen, concerned for the future of our city, our state, our nation, and our world, I demand that the 250 occupiers, peaceful protesters in jail right now for expressing their First Amendment rights, that they be released without the $5,000 bail that is currently enforced. I am shocked by the mayor's complaints about the damage to the grass. The mayor's own website states that his goal is to be the biggest, greenest city in the nation, and this grass is not at all sustainable.
Thank you.
I see the hypocrisy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rudd. If we can send 10 forthwith, that'll close our general public comment. And we have 12 members, so if we can take up items 12 through 17, the ordinances that are, we're awaiting 12 members.
Mr. President, pardon me, items 12 through 15 and item number 17 are ordinances before you without speakers cards. Would you like to take them?
Oh, yes, I did see 16 was labeled as well. Yeah, we'll call 11 and 16 special for the speaker cards, 12 through 15 and 17. You want to take 16 off of that one? Take 16 off. There you go. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Those ordinances are approved. We'll now go to items called special for cards from the public, starting with item number 1. John Walsh, I'd come forward on item number 1. Then we will go to item number 11. I'm sorry, 9 after that. We're going to take item 1 and then we'll go to 9 after that.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, Facebooking at Mickey Jackson, M-I-K-I Jackson. And we're 100% in favor of the hearing protest. We're in favor of the categorical exemption. Of course, you don't give exemptions to people who are out on the lawn. And we just like to say, release the Solidarity Park 250 now.
All right, this item number 1, which was on vacating Magnolia Avenue. Any members wishing to be heard? If not, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, that is approved. We can go next to item 9. We'll close the public hearing. There's no cards in on number 9. We have 9A that's been circulated. Mr. Koretz?
Amendments to this item have been circulated responding to challenges by neighbors to this project. It is now a reduced project and has close to neighborhood consensus and support, and I ask for an aye vote.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Koretz. Let's go ahead and open the roll on this item, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Next, go to item number 11. Mr. Walsh, if you'd like to come forward on item number 11.
John Walsh, Googling at Walsh Confidential. This concerns street lighting ordinance. 100% in favor of street lighting ordinance. It was pretty dark out there last night. And we just want to say, release the Solidarity Park 250 now with no bail.
We have street lighting issue before us, so we can prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Mr. Koretz?
Can I just ask that number 9 go forthwith?
Absolutely. Without objection, we'll send 9 forthwith. If we can go next to item number 16. Or do we just do 16? No, 16. Sorry. Wayne Spindler, if you'd like to come forward on item number 16. Mr. Spindler here? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. We can take up item number 3. We also have a card from Mr. Spindler on that. Oh, sorry, we need to reconsider it first. Please open the roll, reconsideration for 3. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is now before us. Number 3, Mr. Spindler's not here, so we'll put that in the record. I know Mr. Parks, Mr. Cervantes here to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Mr. President. Could we have the staff come up, please?
Colleagues,
Colleagues, the reason that I call this special is that looking at item 3 in the audit report, there were some very significant, 5 significant issues identified as derelictions by housing department, but yet on the committee report it never went into what the city's resolution. I understand that there is a housing department report that the staff will bring and go through that will identify what the resolutions were. And if you look at page 2 of the committee report, the 5 items are very explicit as relates to some of the issues of concern. And so if we could have the staff come up.
I think I was told Mr. Cervantes was here, but he may be on his way, so we'll hold on the table if he's not.
Okay.
Mr. Cervantes here? Okay. We'll hold that there. Let's go to the next item called special then. In the meantime, item 18. We have cards from the public. John Walsh is our first speaker on item 18. He'll be followed by Arnold Sachs.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org for over 3 years. Yes, this, incidentally, is an issue about the LAPD. This concerns Project Safe Neighborhoods. Well, I'm telling you, it's not safe down here, not if you're one of the 250 Solidarity people in prison, in jail. What we are asking for is that you freeze every dime that's going to the LAPD in this motion, pending what we are asking for officially now, and we have sent out an email, a United Nations Human Rights Commission investigation of what happened earlier this morning. You violated, forget about the laws here, you violated Human Rights Commission. You violated the United Nations laws.
If you can bring it back to the agenda,
And I'm
please.
asking you, and I'd like to finish by saying, I know people are starting all sorts of rumors about me, but I deny categorically ever having a relationship with...
He is not talking about this
next
item.
speaker. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Good morning again, Arnold Sachs. I just held item 18 more or less because it's a California Emergency Management Agency grant, Project Safe Neighborhoods program from the California Emergency Management Agency, CalEMA. Because item number 10 says California Emergency Management Agency, CalFEMA. So is this two California Emergency Management Agencies different from each other, or just a typographical error? Or is it two grants for two different things? And the amount of information on item number 10 takes up almost a page and a half, and the amount of information on item number 18 takes up less than a quarter of a page. But it's from California Emergency Management Agency. So it's just the politics involved here. Is it two separate grants from the same agency? Why not make it as two separate grants from the same agency? Why not combine the two committee reports as one? You have several times in your agendas differentiate between how funding is spent. Why is it so in particular about with this agency and the amount of money being spent and how it is being spent? Oh, by the way, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Would you take the opportunity to open up items number 4 and 5 for public comment?
I think Mr. Zine had already voted on those in the consent.
Yeah, well, they voted for 3 and 2. And
Thank you, sir. It's because I think a council member wants to speak on that one. Let's open the roll on 18. Thank you for asking, Mr. Sachs. We'll close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Item 3, I believe we do have staff here now for this item. Can I come forward? And Mr. Parks.
Good afternoon. Did every council member get a copy of the report you're referencing?
I do believe that a report was handed out to each council member.
I haven't gotten one, so.
Okay.
Who's handing them out?
Okay, could we ask the clerk if we got these reports so council members can follow the presentation? And again, colleagues, the reason that I asked for special, if you look at page 2 of the committee report, it highlights the findings by the controller's audit, and which appear to be some fairly serious allegations, but for whatever reason, page 3 of the committee report didn't articulate the findings. My understanding, the report from housing will articulate the findings, and evidently they were part of the package, I guess, in committee, but were not inserted in the committee report. So why don't you take us through this, and if the clerk can make sure everybody gets a copy, I think it will help them follow that.
Good afternoon. I'm Helmi Historic with the Los Housing Department, and the report that's been passed out was a report submitted in June of 2010 to the Controller's Office. At the time that the audit was done, the Los Angeles Housing Department requested that the Controller review the Bonnie Brae project, and it was the findings from the Controller's Office that helped us to really evaluate the processes within the Los Angeles Housing Department. We responded to every finding that was made by the audit, specifically, or just kind of quickly going through the major findings. One was doing an increased background investigation of the developers submitting applications to projects, identifying legal issues that may a review of legal issues that developers may have prior to submitting projects to the city, reviewing the California Debt Limit Allocation Committee application in total, done by our department because they are filing concurrently to CIDLAC as they file an application to us. We've also are proposing to institute in this upcoming NOFA round guaranteed maximum contracts and audit reviews of every subcontractor in the construction process. So those are the primary
Could you just hold a minute, find out
responses.
if the clerk has circulated this?
I believe that it had been circulated, but let me just...
Could we ask the clerk on this June 7th letter? Because I don't think council members can follow this item without this letter.
You can go to 19 while that's being circulated. Let's hold this on the table then again. Let's go to item 19 in the meantime.
Okay.
And we'll get copies. John Walsh is our next speaker on item number 19. We'll come back to that.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. 100,000 successful server requests a month. This concerns street banners. I think we need a street banner program. If you can amend this to include Solidarity Park outside and free the Solidarity, 250, and next stop, United Nations Human Rights Commission investigation of all the Occupy movements.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and open the roll on 19. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
All right, that is approved. We do have public comment cards for the closed session. We can take those as well. John Walsh, if you'd like to come back on item 21. Okay. And on 22, Mr. Sachs, if you'd like to come forward.
Thank you again, Arnold Sachs. Another lawsuit arising from 3 General Services Department employees' claims of racial discrimination. Racial discrimination, sexual discrimination, discrimination in departments that is ongoing. Can we get some kind of summary from I don't know, maybe the Audits and Entertainment Committee to give us an idea of how much has been spent. Oh, I don't know, maybe let's say 5 years, because they did the Gold Card audit. Maybe we can get an idea of audited how much has been spent on discrimination cases in the city of LA in 5-year increments, because this is absurd. Absurd that you keep having these discrimination cases within your agent departments. When do you have a policy in effect? When does a policy that be in effect supersede the employee rights regarding discrimination cases, where people are transferred around, where people are moved? It's just mind-boggling that you seem to have this idea that general funds will have a never-ending supply of money to settle discrimination cases. And you come up through the ranks as aides to other councilmen and departments and all this other baloney, and it's never-ending discrimination cases being settled, payouts from the city of LA for discrimination cases. It's travesty.
Thank you. That'll close public comment on this item. We have item 3 now before us again. Mr. Parks, do you want to discuss number 3?
They haven't circulated it.
Does anybody else need that? Okay, they're still coming? All right. Well, I guess we'll have to go into closed session. We have nothing else right now and come back to this or something. Any folks have any announcements for later in the meeting? Okay. Yeah. Sure, yeah. Mr. Rosendahl?
I just want to remind folks on the west side of Los Angeles, anybody who has an interest in the Santa Monica Airport issue, the first ever hearing by a new state Senate committee that Ted Lieu is chair of on air quality issues specifically geared at the Santa Monica Airport is going to take place tonight at 6 o'clock at the Felicia Mayhood Senior Center in West LA, in my complex there at Corinth and Santa Monica Boulevard. If you have an interest, and that's Mr. Koretz's district, some of the folks over there in Cheviot Hills and in Westwood, as well as people in my district in Brentwood and the Palisades, West LA, Mar Vista, Venice, Delray Palms, Westchester, they're all concerned about the Santa Monica Airport and the toxicity and the safety and the other issues. So if you're interested in public testimony, please come tonight at 6 o'clock for State Senator Ted Lieu's committee at the Felicia Mayhood Center. It'll be a very worthwhile experience for you. Thank you, Mr. President, for that.
Thank you. Other announcements, colleagues, of community events? Okay, the letter has been distributed. Mr. Parks, the floor is yours.
Okay. Okay. Why don't you start on your presentation? And I think by using your letter, it pretty well identifies the issues that were identified in the audit, and then also the resolution. So if you kind of go 1 through 10, I think everybody can follow the responses on your letter.
Okay. I trust everybody has the letter now. The audit identified 10 items. The first item was specifically regarding background investigation, requiring the department to exercise due diligence in the background checks. Although the department has always done background checks on developers, we have added into the process an additional background check, additional information in our background investigation. We now pull Dun & Bradstreet information on every developer submitting applicants to the trust fund. We also now do a legal review to identify any outstanding or major legal issues that a developer may have. We also now do the background checks at 2 times. First, when the application arrives within the department, and then secondly, before we close any of the financial transactions. We also were required by the controller, recommended by the controller, to review the application that the developers submit to the California Debt Limit Allocation Committee. They fill out a form with some disclosures. We previously reviewed only certain elements of that application. Now we review fully that application, including any of the disclosures, financial disclosures that are attached to that application.
But let me ask you a question. On the audit, it reflects that the discrepancy dealt with one of the partners being under a federal investigation. Would that, in and of itself, stop the city process?
At the time, it did not stop the city process.
I know it didn't. I'm just saying, would that, if it were done properly, would that have stopped? Because I think that's the issue that the controller was bringing up.
It may. At this point, if we identified that a developer was under federal investigation, we would discuss it with the city attorney before proceeding.
So it wouldn't be an automatic stoppage?
It would not, by the department, be an automatic stoppage because it would depend on what the investigation was regarding.
Okay. What if the investigation was pending and you couldn't get the results?
Again, we would discuss it with the city attorney to determine what the investigation was about and whether it was materially relevant to our decision making.
So recommendation 1, when we talks about the discrepancy, is that the specific issue that it was listed on the state application, that it was a federal investigation and it wasn't listed on the city application?
That is correct.
Okay, all right.
Item number 3 is that the city in this particular case proceeded with...
Did we skip 2?
I'm sorry. Item 2 was the review of the California Debt Limit Allocation application.
Okay, so 2 somewhat references 1. It's the same background.
Very much the same type of background check.
Okay.
Item 3 is a housing assistance payment. This project entered into a contract simultaneously with the Los Angeles Housing Authority and with the Los Angeles Housing Department. In this particular case, we issued a notice to proceed even though they had not signed their housing assistance contract with the Housing Authority. We now require, we have changed our internal documents, our internal processes within the department, and documented in our policies and procedures that a notice to proceed cannot be issued until the AHAP contract is signed. So this will not happen again.
Okay. Is that a federal requirement?
It is a federal requirement.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 4 specifically was with respect to the selection of a construction contractor. In this case, it was a vertically integrated construction firm. We've had a great deal of discussion about the issue of allowing vertically integrated firms to compete for projects with their construction team as part of the development team. It is allowed under federal contracting requirements. We do continue to allow it at the department. However, we have now added in several recommended changes, some of which will be coming to the council in this upcoming Affordable Housing Trust Fund NOFA. The most significant of these include the requirement that all developers enter into a GMAX, or Guaranteed Maximum Construction Contract, so that the construction contracts cannot exceed a certain amount. Previously, we allowed developers to enter into a fixed price contract, which essentially, if they paid less than the contract amount, they were still under contract to receive the fixed price.
Okay. Let me just ask a simple question. Are we saying that we now allow a entity that applies for a loan to hire one of their partners as a contractor?
We allow partners, we allow developer contractor teams to compete under the Affordable Housing Trust Fund NOFA.
But I'm saying that the people that are applying for the funds are allowed to hire a member of their organization as a contractor.
That is not, they may be a vertically integrated firm, yes. They may have shared management, but they are separate companies.
Okay.
The difference is the type of contract that exists between the developer, general partner, the developer, and the construction entity. So the construction entity no longer can have a fixed price contract. Now they can only have a guaranteed maximum contract. And that will be considered by the council in the upcoming NOFA.
And they will be disclosed on that?
They would have to disclose, we will review their construction contract.
Okay.
We are also requiring an audit of subcontracts, a third-party audit of all subcontractor relationships.
Okay.
Item number 5 also relates to management insurance, that the gap is the accurate amount and that the creation of the requirement of a guaranteed maximum contract will also provide management oversight of the gap amount.
So did we find that as an accurate statement on number 5, that the gap was not reduced even though the costing came out cheaper?
It is accurate insofar as the project there was a fixed price contract. We knew what the cost of the construction was expected to be, and in this case, we paid for that amount. We paid for the price that we were given at the time that we awarded the funds. What we did not do was we were not able, given the contractual relationship that existed, to identify cost reductions and take those savings into the city.
Okay, so the issue is that even though there's cost savings, the contract wouldn't allow us to recover them.
That's correct.
Now, and what did we do to correct that?
We are changing the type of contract that's allowed between the developer and the construction contractor to a guaranteed maximum. Okay. So now if there are cost savings, the city will identify those savings and we can request those funds be returned to the city.
Okay.
Mr. Parks, anything else?
Number 6.
Okay, number 6, the controller identified request for reimbursement of funds. We discussed this with the city attorney, and given the contractual relationship, could not identify a recovery of costs.
So the issue, you found that the controller's audit was an error?
After discussing it with the city attorney, we found there was no legal way for us to proceed on that. There was no formal recommendation from the controller.
Number 7?
Number 7, again, no formal recommendation from the controller. Identification that they substituted a qualified tenant relocation contractor for an inexperienced subcontractor. We did identify that in our review of the project, and we actually required them to take a different relocation consultant, and we managed that contract.
Okay. Number 8?
Number 8, LAHD did not monitor or have accounting of the uses of the tax-exempt bond funds. We do monitor and account for all of the uses of the bond funds. We have increased we've added to the distribution list for the trustee statements, and we also have now required line item detail worksheets. We are recommending in the upcoming NOFA that a third-party accounting review be done of all subcontractors.
And Mr. Parks, we do have somebody else on the queue. We're about 4 minutes over.
Okay.
Can we come back? Or?
I'll come back because there's just 9 and 10 left.
All right. Well, why don't you finish out those two? Okay.
Okay. The number 9 is increasing the reserves for the project. We do have a reserve amount that we negotiate with all the other lenders, and we've identified how that is done in our processes. Finally, number 10, there's no recommendation from the controller, just a comment that some changes of ownership to the structure of this partnership might have legal implications, but there was no recommendation to us, and we took no action on that item.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you very much. The audit, thank you for going through all the 10 items on the audit for our benefit here. one of the things I'd like to make sure that the public understands is the answer to this question. Who requested this audit of the Controller's Office?
The Los Angeles Housing Department requested the audit.
And who do you work for?
The Los Angeles Housing Department.
Okay, so basically your department said, can you please do this audit? Can you, as a third party, not within the department, but outside the department, can you scrutinize this? Can you scrub it down? Can you give us a report, an audit report, so that we can do a better job in the future? What was the purpose?
Exactly that, to identify areas where we could improve our processes.
Mm-hmm. And then also, thank you for clarifying that, because after going through these 10 points, you would think, I wouldn't want people to think that this was a surprise audit, this was something that you didn't want to happen, this is something that you resisted. It's actually something that your department asked for. So you wanted it, you expected it, you looked forward to it, and then you've been responsive to all the recommendations that came out of the audit, correct?
That's correct.
What to the issue of when you find that somebody is applying to do business with our housing department and that there's some investigation, whether it's local or federal or what have you, the word investigation, I think most Americans don't understand what that means. Investigation doesn't mean conviction. Investigation doesn't even mean that there's actual charges being brought against an individual or a corporation or what have you. So how, in fact, can we, as supposed to be an unbiased, fair public entity, how do we deny somebody the opportunity to do business with the city if, in fact, what we're looking at is they're being investigated?
Well, that's exactly right. We don't want to jump to conclusions about any developer
Now, if we
project.
did jump to a conclusion and we did show bias based on an investigation, later on, could we put ourselves in a situation where they could sue the city?
Absolutely.
And they would sue the city based on what?
Based on on us jumping to conclusions, unfair review.
Exactly. And that's why your department talked to the city attorney's office to find out if, in fact, in this particular case, on this particular Bonnie Brae project, whether or not it was enough for us to actually use it as a factor in denying them to do business with the city.
That's correct.
And the response from the city attorney's office in this case was?
At this time, there was not insufficient information and there was no conviction, so there was no reason for us to deny their.
So the advice of the city attorney's office, not within your internal department, but the advice of your attorney, the city attorney's office, was to continue to go forward.
That's correct.
Even though there was some level of investigation at some level of government on that particular corporation.
That's correct.
Okay. I just wanted to make that clear, because sometimes people are watching our meeting kind of half listening, and then when they hear investigation and stuff like that, they don't hear the whole story. So I just wanted to make sure that in this particular case, the department, on that note, on the investigation matter, didn't do anything wrong.
To my knowledge, the investigation was closed without result. At this, the parties that were under investigation also have exited this project. The project's been built and is now occupied.
Okay. By somebody else, not the party that was being investigated.
The partner that was being investigated exited the partnership.
Okay.
And we concluded the project with a different set of partners. So even though the partner that was being investigated is no longer being investigated, that partner is also no longer part of the project. We have no contractual relationship with that business partner.
Okay. And also, for the public's benefit, whenever any particular authority starts an investigation, it doesn't mean that they ever announce that they've actually ended an investigation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Second time. Mr. Parks.
Let me just clarify a couple of things. Mr. Cardenas asked you about the Housing Authority and requested the investigation. Was it the same administration and the Housing Authority that requested the investigation that was
the Housing Department, Mr. Parks?
Housing Department.
It was our department, the City of Los Angeles Housing Department, that requested the Controller's Office to review the processes.
Was it the same administration that created this deal asked for that investigation, or was it a subsequent administration?
It was a subsequent administration. It was the administration headed by Doug Guthrie, the current general manager.
Let me ask you this, just simplify it. On the 10 recommendations that are here, would the Housing Department do another deal like what was identified in the audit?
We would not.
Would not. And that's across the board on all 10?
We would identify issues earlier in the process, and we would have a different form of contract. So I think we would have a different structure to that transaction.
Thank you. I'd just like to ask if we can make sure the June 7th letter from Housing Department is part of the council file.
Yeah, we'll make sure that is, Mr. Parks. Thank you. Mr. Spindler, we had called you before, but you weren't here. Do you want to speak on this issue? We closed the public hearing, but I'm happy to reopen it for you.
It's the Bonnie Bray project. It's well known, a lot of questions about it, but I really have to give credit to Carmen Trutanich in this situation that he's very much helped straighten out this whole unfounded allegation and charges against the developer, because now that we all know that an investigation, and I wasn't aware, I stand corrected, I was not aware that an investigation really meant anything. So I'm very clear now that anytime the city or any government entity does give a contract to an entity that is under federal investigation for all kinds of charges, is in fact not ineligible to receive the public treasury funds to build whatever they want. So as long as it's just an investigation, then it doesn't matter, because that does not mean anything or cannot be construed to be anything of any wrongdoing. So therefore, if people out there are listening today and you go to get your car repaired and the Bureau of Automotive Repair has an investigation against the car repairman for severe negligence, you should go and have that person repair your car, because an investigation doesn't mean anything. And I really have to hand it for Carmen Trutanich. I think he would make the perfect district attorney, because this is really the kind of counsel we need that has interpreted correctly that a mere investigation by the FBI means nothing, and that person should be free to get public funds. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spindler. That'll close the comments on this. The action is to note and file this. If you can please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. We'll next go into closed session to discuss items 21 and 22. Pursuant to California state law, for legal matters, we're going to discuss with our legal counsel, the city attorney. If we can please clear the chambers, we'll come back into open session for any votes that require an open vote as well. Thank you all very much.
never had a traffic accident like this before, where a teenager has decided to run from the police and been struck by a motor vehicle.
5859 KF 5060, watch 3. 5060.
Curfew laws restrict the right of juveniles to be outdoors or in the public places after 10 p.m. until sunrise the next day. Such laws aim to establish a safer community and to better protect people from becoming victims of crimes or becoming involved in a crime. Most people don't agree with our curfew laws and would rather run the risk of being picked up by the police and ticketed for violation of curfew. However, they are more likely to run into the many real dangers that face us every time we go out at night.
We found that kids out so late are normally caught up in violence, traffic accidents, and that's no good. Some of these kids still they're not aware of the law, and they're not educated on it.
Drinking, drugs, sexual predators, and gang-related activities are only few of the dangers we face regardless of how young or old you are. If you are under the age of 18, this law applies to you. What happens if you are caught? You will be taken to the station where the ticket is written out to you and your parent or guardian are called to pick you up. If your parent cannot pick you up, you will be placed into a protective custody or sent to a juvenile facility.
Guardian at something like an event such as Grill Beach.
The guardian is not just someone appointed to by the parents. A guardian is someone appointed by the courts.
You can legally stay out late if you are participating in a religious, educational, or political activity, accompanied by a parent or guardian, going to or from their place of employment, responding to some type of emergency, returning home from school, cultural, or recreation activity.
And that's our message, is not only enforcing the curfew violation, but also educating them that they need to stay home and stay safe.
The curfew laws are not just here to protect us, they're here to protect the safety of everyone in our community.
property theft has spiked in the area the past year due to easy access for thieves. Almost 80% of car theft occurs because of unlocked doors. Locking your doors takes a matter of seconds and can become so routine that you may forget whether you locked your doors or not. But it's worth the effort to double check. The more successful thieves are at taking items out of a car, the more chances they are going to come back to that area. Don't let our town be that area. One simple precaution is to hide or cover any valuable items when leaving your car unattended. Simple actions like these can prevent you from becoming a victim of property theft. The Los Angeles Police Department would like you to remember, lock it or lose it.
Thank you. We're back in open session. We had items 21 and 22 before, so we can take votes on those in open session, please. Item 21 first.
Mr. President, there is a recommendation for settlement in the case entitled Joseph Wolf versus City of Los Angeles in the amount of $197,000.
Okay. Let's go ahead and open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. We go to the next item 22.
Mr. President, in item 22, there is a recommendation for settlement in the case entitled Mario Patrick, David Bomer, Dennis Wildley et al. Versus City of Los Angeles, made payable as follows.
Go ahead.
Mario Patrick in the amount of $607,148. David Bomer in the amount of $290,326. Dennis Wildley in the amount of $391,118. And the law offices of Michael F. Baltax Trust Account Attorneys fees in the amount of $314,820 and costs of $27,161.51. All are in addition to our accrued interest at the legal rate of 7%.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and open the roll on the judgment. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Next order of business, please. Forthwith on both those, please. And let's get the next order of business.
Mr. President, Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those are posted and referred.
The desk is clear.
All right. We asked for announcements before. Are there any further ones, Ms. Perry?
Yeah, I have an announcement.
Go ahead, please.
No? Okay. Great. I wanted to share with my colleagues that we've had this project pending for quite a while, and in the next few days we will be converting the north lawn into a drought-tolerant garden utilizing native and drought-tolerant vegetation. I know that there have been some motions floating around here today about the south lawn, and we need to discuss in Energy and Environment what to do with the south lawn in the near future. So I just want to make sure everybody knew that. But the north lawn, that process is underway and has been underway for quite some time. Thank you.
Thank you. Other announcements? Mr. Zine? And then Mr. Parks?
Announcement regarding tonight, Tarzana Village Walk Christmas tree lighting, 18700 Ventura Boulevard in Tarzana. They're going to light the Christmas trees along Ventura Boulevard. Again, that's Tarzana Village Walk Christmas tree lighting, 18700 Ventura Boulevard. The public is invited and hope to see you there. Thank you, Mr. President. Back to you.
Thank you. Mr. Parks and then Mr. Labange.
I'd just like to invite the public to the 8th District Constituent Center on Thursday, December the 8th for the annual tree lighting at that facility, and also remind them that the 9th annual toy giveaway in Baldwin Hills Shopping Center will be Saturday, December 10th at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Mr. Labange.
Yeah, just want to let you know we had a very successful groundbreaking down at Betty Davis Park area of Griffith Park, adjacent to the city of Glendale, along with the mayor of Glendale, a collaboration between the city of Glendale and the city of Los Angeles on equestrian improvements that connect to Griffith Park, and great help for the Department of Water Power on a reclaimed, recycled water line and an employment program that they have for young people.
Mr. Zine for a second time announcing.
An announcement that Friday's council meeting will be in the San Fernando Valley, the Van Nuys City Hall. Just a reminder that we will be joining our Valley community this Friday, 10 o'clock, Van Nuys City Hall. Mr. President, back to you at the anchor desk.
Thank you. And on December 1st, this Friday, there'll be the Atwater, I'm sorry, not Friday. On December 1st, tomorrow, there will be the Atwater Village tree lighting ceremony. Mr. Labange, thank you to your wife who started that tradition many years ago, and we will be lighting up. It's one of the best attended tree lighting ceremonies anywhere in LA, but that will be tomorrow night at sunset. Yes, Mr. Huizar.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Also, I'd like to announce tonight at White Memorial Medical Center in Boyle Heights, 1720 Cesar Chavez, we'll have the second annual tree lighting, and this Friday, December 2nd at 6 o'clock, the Herman tree lighting. at the Herman Community Church. At 7 o'clock, the Eagle Rock tree lighting at our local City Hall, 2035 Colorado Boulevard.
Any other announcements? If not, can we please rise for adjourning motions? Colleagues, I ask that we adjourn today in memory of Harriet Itkoff, who passed away on Thanksgiving. She was born 1928 in Philadelphia, the ever-supportive behind-the-scenes mother and grandmother, sewing costumes, baking cookies, game to try anything, go anywhere, and accepting everybody. She was a loving, adventurous, open-minded, and elegant woman who made Los Angeles her home for 60 years. She is survived by her daughter, Sandy Itkoff, who serves the city as well on the Ratepayer Advocate Hiring Committee, and is a dear friend. She will sorely be missed, and we are thinking of the entire Itkoff family. May Harriet Itkoff rest in peace. Mr. Zine.
Mr. President, and if all colleagues would join me in this adjourning for Richard Dixon, passed away November 25th, Forest Lake City Council member. Richard Dixon died at the age of 63, died peacefully on Friday at a hospital after battling a long-time illness. Richard Dixon was first elected to the city's inaugural council in 1991, served as the mayor. In addition to being part of the city's original city council in 1991, re-elected in 94, 98, 2002, and 2006. Also served in the Orange County Transportation Authority Board, represented Orange County at the California League of Cities, was a representative of the Orange County Council and Governments, Orange County Vector Control District, and Southern California Association of Governments, SCAG, where I met him and had the opportunity to work with him. Past president of the Southern California Association of Governments, SCAG, which is the Metropolitan Planning Organization and Council of Governments for Ventura, Los Angeles, Riverside, San Bernardino, Imperial, and Orange counties. Also served on the board of the League of California Cities, where he served on the Revenue and Taxation Policy Committee, the Tribal Government Collaboration Task Force, and the Orange County Division Executive Committee. As a former Orange County Transportation Authority board member, served on the Highways, Transit, 2020, and 91 advisory subcommittees. Lake Forest Mayor Peter Herzog, who became a good friend with Dixon during their course of service, commented that everything that has been accomplished has been an important part of the change and improvements here, a part of his legacy. Transportation was a key focus for him, and that impact went far beyond the city. He was most proud of being a founding father of the Joint Powers Authority that helped defeat the idea of an airport at the former El Toro Marine Center. Dixon started his own health insurance agency in 1987. He was a recipient of the Small Business Award, Southern Orange County Chamber of Commerce, and a founding member of the Lake Forest Chamber of Commerce. Survived by his mother and two sons, a memorial service for him is planned in Lake Forest on December 10th. May he rest in peace. Richard Dixon, some of my colleagues may have worked with him as our presentations at Southern California Association of Governments.
Thank you. We'll put all members on that. Thank you. Mr. Labange?
Adjourned in memory of Robert Pierpoint. For over 40 years, a reporter on CBS radio and television in the era of Walter Cronkite, and he gave great reports. He's survived by his wife, Patricia, and his 4 children. Robert Pierpoint, a great CBS radio and television reporter of the great era of CBS.
Thank you. Any other adjourning motions? If not, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. And as a reminder, we will be back in Van Nuys on Friday in the morning, 10 a.m. for our next City Council meeting. This meeting, Los Angeles City Council, is adjourned. Have a great day. Especially today, courage.